Ooh, it is so good to be back. Avs win 4-1 over the LA Kings to open the season. If nothing else, the Avs might be really fun this year. Not in the first period of this game, though. First period was pretty lackluster for both sides. Definitely felt like two teams playing the first period of the season. Felt a little bit rough with the puck for both teams. Some of that is probably some rough ice, but you could also tell they were gearing it up for the first game of the season and weren't quite in gear yet either way. There really isn't a ton of offensive play, at least positively, for the Avs through most of the period, though I do think they improved steadily as the period went on. LA didn't generate a ton either, and the few opportunities they did get were stopped nicely by Wedgwood. But where the game really changed and the Avs finally decided to ramp things up was with about 90 seconds left in the first period. Josh Manson lays a massive hit on Warren Foegele. That is physicality getting the Avs up. That's the right way you like to see that. He also answers the bell afterward. He loses the fight, but I don't really care about that. This was a momentum shifter for the Avs. There is no doubt. Unfortunately, the Avs don't have a great time on the power play. They end up going 1 for 6 on the night, though I do think those numbers are a little bit deceptive. 2 of the power plays, including this first one, were split power plays, meaning at the end of a period. Some of it was chopped off and into the next, and one of them was at the end of the game when things did not really matter. So don't read too much into those numbers, but yeah, the Avs did only score on 1 of 6 power plays. I can overlook that somewhat, although you would have loved a goal in the first period to take the lead. After those first 30 seconds or so of the second, the Avs' best players show up in a way that they didn't in the first. They put the Avs in the driver's seat, and the Avs pretty much never look back. Leckie collects a puck in the neutral zone and quickly realizes, as this play is developing in front of him, that MacKinnon is stepping to the outside and has a lane. Now, this pass is a little dangerous. You don't want to see the turnover here, but he gets it through and allows MacKinnon to get up to speed as he's crossing the blue line, and then LA's just in trouble. Necas did a good job to stay onside to allow this play to continue, but MacKinnon does not slow down. He walks all the way into the zone, draws a penalty, and then goes in behind the net. And LA just gets caught. A good defensive team gets 4 guys to stare at Nathan MacKinnon. Drew Doughty, veteran presence. He has to take his guy, right? MacKinnon's coming this way, but the defenseman with him also sticks with him, and then both of your forwards also just staring at MacKinnon. That's not good defense. That's the Nathan MacKinnon effect. This leaves you with options. You have Leckie coming down the side and Necas up in the high slot, and MacKinnon makes a great play to slip this through a bunch of bodies and find Necas up high. And here you're just in trouble. You have left Marty Necas alone in the most dangerous area of the ice with time to do whatever he wants. So he decides to hold on to it, pick his spot, and beats Kemper short side. The LA Kings, as a team, are a pretty good defensive team. If not, you could even argue great. Even they still get caught up with Nathan MacKinnon. To have that many eyes turning and watching, that's the level of superstar that Nathan MacKinnon is. And Marty Necas has a missile of a shot. That's a fantastic finish, and he would finish again beautifully later in the game. If Necas can shoot like that, if he can be a sniper next to Nathan MacKinnon, that's a whole new level of unlocked potential for the Colorado Avalanche. We know Necas is, for the most part, more of a playmaker than a goal scorer, at least to this point in his career. But when you have a shot like that, if you can start using it just a little bit more, it doesn't even have to be your primary focus, all of a sudden that Avs top line becomes that much more dangerous. And honestly, from there, the Avs just felt locked and loaded to roll this team over. And I know when you look at the advanced statistics of this game, it actually looks pretty darn even at 5-on-5, at least through the first 2 periods before score effects came into play. And it was possession-wise, as far as attempts on net and even high danger chances, things kept reasonably close. But when you look at what actually connected, it was the Avs in complete control. Through the first 2 periods, the Kings only mustered 11 shots on goal. Now, part of that is the Kings simply missing the net, but it was also a very good job of the Avalanche forcing them to the outside. They kept them on the perimeter well, and even when they did penetrate and get dangerous chances, you regularly see Avs players in the right positions to block shots or force them to off angles and not give up that truly high danger play. And even then, on the occasional one where something did slip through, you had Wedgwood locking it down behind them. So as the Avs ramp that up in the second period, getting shots on net becomes important, as we see from the Avs' second goal. The Avs collect a puck from a dangerous spot in their own zone. Makar just kind of shovels up to Brindley, and from there, Brindley does a lot of the heavy lifting with his legs. He gets the Avs through the neutral zone, he gains the red line and nearly the blue line before making the smart fourth line player decision Simply dump a puck in and go to work. And that sets up Kiviranta to get in, create a little bit of chaos. Well, the Avs don't win the puck battle. They force a quick panic play for the LA Kings to try and rim this up and out. And by then, Sam Malinski has already stepped up to the blue line, and this is a pretty easy keep for Malinski. In fact, as he gets his head up on the ice, he realizes LA has heavily overcommitted too deep in their zone with 4 guys deep, and the high man not really challenging his left side of the ice. So he takes his time, allows the screens to get set up in front, with multiple bodies through. He doesn't have to rush it. He can find the through lane and puts a perfect seeing eye shot that just finds its way all the way through to the net. Not every goal is going to come from a high danger chance, but if you give it a chance to go in, sometimes it will. Obviously, credit to the Avs' fourth line for the good hard work to set up a position where Malinski had space to work with, and a great job for Malinski getting that puck through. He took the time he had and put a puck in the right place. Suddenly, what was a slow game turns into one that the Avs are in the driver's seat of and fully in control of it. And to be honest, it would continue that way through the rest of the second period. Yes, the Avs do miss out on a power play opportunity to really make it 3-0, which is a little disappointing, but they do ultimately get that third goal because the Avs' best players are something that LA just can't hang with when they're playing at their ability level. Some dodgy neutral zone work from the LA Kings allow the Avs to take away the puck with a good read from Devon Taves as Necas gets him into the zone. Necas doesn't mess around here either. He attacks the dangerous part of the ice, forces LA players to collapse on him, and even takes a hit to make a play, ultimately getting this puck to MacKinnon. Now MacKinnon, on his backhand side, ultimately runs out of room here. There's not a whole lot he can do, but again, another play where the Avs get LA to overcommit down low way too much, and when MacKinnon comes out the far side, oh yeah, right, that Cale Makar guy is at the top of the zone. He's pretty good too. Makar fakes the big clapper and absolutely lights Malott on fire. This opens an entire lane for himself. You'd love to see the finish here just because that would be yet another Cale Makar ridiculous highlight. But Kemper makes the initial save. Doesn't matter though, because Artturi Lehkonen is just Superman strongman, net front, great on his stick, and the rebound created by Makar is able to get banged in. Across all of sports, there are players near the top of their leagues that, when they're at their best, it doesn't matter how good you are defensively, you simply can't defend them. Prime Steph in the NBA, prime Randy Moss in the NFL. For the NHL, Cale Makar is one of those players. And I know he doesn't finish the play here, and Lecky deserves all the credit in the world for being a superhuman strength on his stick net front there to bang that one home, but Cale Makar's unreal skill is what created that play. This put the Avs up 3-0, they get through the rest of the second, and you head into the third. And of course, no game is over until it's over, but you feel pretty good up 3 with 1 period to play. And while score effects start to take effect and the Kings dominated the shot clock if you look at the third period, the Avs grinded this one out and made sure they made the closeout easy for themselves. At least in some ways. They took a couple of penalties at the start of the third. You don't love that. You'd rather not have the penalties. But they kill both penalty kills to start off the third period. And that pretty much sets them up for this game to be over. And if there was any doubt at that point, midway through the third, the Avs finally capitalize on a power play. Not a whole lot to this one, but wouldn't you know it, a face-off win on the power play makes a little bit of difference even, as Brock Nelson wins this one back to Cale Makar, and we see a little bit of a veteran effect here. After winning the faceoff, Nelson ties up his guy at center just enough that it leaves space, which forces the man on this far side to come out high. Now, because he's coming out high and is the high guy, he has to challenge Makar, but that forces him over, or at least to the middle of the ice, so you're not covering this whole area for Marty Necas. Because the center was late, it puts off the entire penalty kill setup. So maybe there is a little bit of strategery in this goal, but ultimately Makar doesn't do anything special, just gives it to Necas. Necas finds a ton of room because of that previous play, and he picks the far side corner this time. Not particularly impressive power play system works or anything, but it's a great shot from Marty. And again, Marty doesn't have to be the best player on the ice when he's paired with MacKinnon, whether that be on the power play or at 5-on-5. He just needs to be enough of a threat that when teams do get distracted by the MacKinnons and the Makars on the ice for the Avalanche, he needs to be the guy that can finish or set up or make that next play, and he absolutely was perfectly for the Avs tonight. Now, obviously, Marty's not going to score 2 goals every single night, but if he's a consistent offensive threat night in and night out for this Avalanche team, they're going to be hard to beat pretty much every single night. The rest of the game pretty much devolved into nonsense. Brant Clark and Josh Manson took turns cross-checking people. There were a number of scuffles. I do think it was interesting to see. The Avs definitely stepped up on that physicality side of the game, at least for game one of this season. They made it known that they're not going to take any guff. And while I am usually a guy that falls more on the side of if they try to do that stuff, beat them on the scoreboard, I do think the Avs enjoyed a little bit of that in this game. The Avs are bigger, stronger than they were last season. But also, it shows something that Gabe Landeskog has talked about a lot this offseason. They're hungrier than they have been in a long time this year. And you saw that throughout the end of the third period where you had all of your teammates standing up for each other. If a guy took a cross-check, Manson would jump in. Leckie would jump in. You even saw Sam Girard get mad at Brant Clark at the end of it all. Parker Kelly was laying the body. Obviously, Manson had the huge hit earlier in the game. There was plenty of physical acumen for Colorado. Now you need to be careful and not step over that line the way Brant Clark kind of did for LA in this game. But for what the Avs did, they answered the bell, and teams are going to know you're not going to get away with stuff. The Kings did score a late power play goal at 5-on-3 that I'm only really including here for completionist reasons. It was ultimately meaningless, and that gets you to your final score of 4-1. While the first and third periods were pretty slow, the first was easing into a new season, and the third was mostly score effects as the Avs flipped it into cruise control. Game one of the season, the Avs get to cruise out of this one with an easy win. So different from last year. I really don't have a lot of negatives from this game. There were mistakes, don't get me wrong. The Avs gave up a breakaway, they gave up some 2-on-1s, they gave up some dangerous plays, but ultimately, goaltending papers over a lot of those issues when you get a game like you did out of Wedgwood here. He really deserved the shutout, in my opinion, but unfortunately the penalty nonsense cost them that, which is unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's still a W. And of course, the big note, Nathan MacKinnon becomes the all-time scoring leader for the Colorado Avalanche. That's a ridiculous feat. 1,017 points. He scored 2 in this game. 1,016 technically got him the record, and counting from here. MacKinnon's going to run that number up over the next handful of years, I can tell you that much. Trying not to buy into the hype too much, obviously this team's not going to go 82-0. They're going to have some losses, they're going to have some tough games, and they're also going to have some ones that they're going to have to grind out that maybe don't become quite as easy as this one. But to show up in a game like this, put on the effort, put on the show that you expect from your top players, be able to play a physical game, be able to play a grindy game, be able to open it up when the opportunities present themselves. This is about as good as you can expect from the start of a season. I truly believe the Avs are set up for success this year. We'll have to see how good the start really is over the next handful of games. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. Head on over to thednvr.com for all of our coverage. I am Rudo, and I am pumped. This season's going to be great.